The waking is never sudden. It is not a jolt from the harsh clang of a bell or the unwelcome intrusion of sunlight. For a house elf, for Nimble, it is a slow and gentle surfacing, like a bubble of air rising through the deep, still waters of the Black Lake. It begins not in his mind, but in his ears, his long, bat-like ears, which are currently flattened against the worn, soft fabric of his hammock, begin to twitch. They twitch once, then twice, tasting the sounds of the pre-dawn castle the way a snake tastes the air. This is how Nimble knows it is time. The heartbeat is changing. Every living thing has a heartbeat, and Hogwarts is more alive than any wizard or witch could truly comprehend. It is an ancient, sprawling, magical beast, and Nimble is nestled deep within its belly, in the warm and quiet spaces just beside its great, ever-hungry stomach, the kitchens. From here, an elf can feel everything. The heartbeat is not one sound, but a symphony of 1,000 tiny, interlocking rhythms that only the house elves can truly hear. It is the deep, resonant hum of the foundational magic woven into the stones by the four themselves. A thrum so low and so constant that it is more a feeling in the bones than a sound in the ears. It is the sleepy, watery sigh of the plumbing that snakes through the castle walls like copper veins, carrying water from the lake to the prefect's bathroom. It is the faint, almost imperceptible groan of the grand staircase settling on its axis, dreaming of which direction it will swing when the first students set foot upon it. Nimble's ears twitch again, deciphering the morning's particular tune. Thump, 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 thump. That is the low, steady rhythm of the castle's core magic. Good. It is strong today, calm and content. Sometimes, after a great storm or a particularly nasty bit of dark magic has been dealt with, the heartbeat flutters, becoming weak and erratic. It is on those days that the elves work with a little more urgency, their own magic trying to soothe the castle's frayed nerves. But not today. Today, the old magic is sleeping soundly. Layered over that deep hum is a new sound, a faint but insistent pitter-patter tap. It is far away, up on the 7th floor, he thinks. A restless sound. Perhaps a boggart has gotten trapped in a grandfather clock again. Or maybe it is just the faint echo of the room of requirement, pacing in its sleep. Nimble makes a mental note. The 7th floor will need a thorough dusting today. He slowly peels one eye open. The elves' quarters are still dark, but it is a soft, velvety darkness, not a frightening one. Their home is a series of interconnected, burrow-like chambers carved from the living stone of the castle's foundations. The walls are smooth and rounded, with no sharp corners, and the ceiling is low and curved, making the space feel like a warm, safe embrace. There are no windows. The elves have no need of the sun or moon to tell them the time. They have the castle's heartbeat for that. The only light comes from a cluster of ever-glowing moss that grows in a central alcove, casting a soft, greenish-gold luminescence over the sleeping forms of his fellow elves. Dozens of them are there, each tucked into their own nook. They sleep in hammocks, woven from materials the castle has discarded over the centuries. Nimble's is fashioned from an old Hufflepuff scarf. Its cheerful yellow and black stripes faded to a soft butter and charcoal gray. It is still the warmest, softest bed he has ever known. To his left, snoring with the gentle, wheezing sound of a deflating puff skein, is old Pip. Pip has served Hogwarts since before Albus Dumbledore was headmaster, and his snores are as much a part of the morning symphony as the castle's hum. He claims his loyalty is to the kitchens, and to the kitchens alone. But Nimble knows he has a soft spot for the ancient tapestries that depict the founding of the school. He frets over them like they are his own children. Across the chamber, a young elf named Tilly mutters in her sleep, her tiny fists clenching and unclenching. Nasty spot, nasty smudge, a bit of elbow grease. Yes, that will do. She is a new recruit, barely 50 years old, and her enthusiasm for polishing is boundless. She has been assigned to the trophy room this week, a task that will surely test her spirit, especially if Peeves has been feeling mischievous. A profound sense of peace settles over Nimble. This is his family. This is his home. They are the quiet, unseen blood cells of Hogwarts, keeping the great beast clean and fed, its arteries clear, its heart steady. The students, with their loud laughter and clumsy, powerful magic, are the castle's fleeting thoughts. The professors, its calculating mind. But the elves, they are its soul, with a practiced, silent motion. Nimble swings his legs out of the hammock. His bare feet touch the floor, a single slab of granite that has been worn smooth by centuries of elven feet. It is cool, but not cold, humming with the same energy he hears with his ears. It is like placing one's palm on the flank of a slumbering dragon. He takes a moment, as he does every morning, to simply stand and feel. He lets the castle's rhythm flow up through the soles of his feet, through his spindly legs and torso, until it meets the rhythm of his own small heart for a single, perfect instant. They are one. Good morning, old friend, he thinks, and he fancies he feels a pulse of warmth in the stone in reply. Good morning, Nimble. His personal nook is small, but it is his. Tucked into a curve in the wall is a small, flat stone that serves as his shelf. On it sit his treasures. There is a single, perfectly white stone he found by the shore of the black lake, smooth as a gull's egg. Beside it is a tiny, chipped porcelain teapot, no bigger than his fist. It was left behind by a visiting headmistress from Beauxbatons long ago. It has a faint enchantment on it. If one listens very closely, one can hear it humming a cheerful French waltz. And then there is his prize. Hanging from a small wooden peg is a sock. It is not just any sock. It is thick, woolen, and a brilliant, cheerful cherry red, the color of a Gryffindor banner. He found it 3 years ago, trapped in the gears of a suit of armor on the 5th floor. It had clearly been there for a very, very long time. He has never found its twin, nor its owner. He has tried, of course. For a house elf with a knack for finding lost things, an unsolvable case is a constant, tantalizing mystery. This sock is his failure, but it is also his motivation. It reminds him that the castle always has more secrets to offer up. A few other elves are beginning to stir now. A rustle of fabric here, a soft yawn there. No words are spoken. They are not needed. They are all connected by the same purpose, listening to the same symphony. The heartbeat of the castle is quickening now, the rhythm shifting from a slumbering adagio to a preparatory andante. The magic in the great hall will be stirring, getting ready for the enchantments that will fill the students' goblets. The fires in the kitchen hearths will be sighing, eager for the wood and the flames that will soon roast sausages and toast bread. It is time. Nimble pats the red sock for good luck, a silent promise that he will keep his eyes open for its long-lost brother. Then he turns and joins the silent, shuffling procession of bare feet heading out of their cozy, dark home and towards the warm, bright, fragrant heart of their world, the Hogwarts kitchens. The day has begun. The doorway from the elves' quarters opens directly into the kitchens, and the transition is one of sensory delight. Nimble steps from the cool, quiet stone of the burrows into a cavernous chamber of warmth, light, and burgeoning aroma. The kitchen is a magnificent room, a mirror image of the great hall directly above it, with a ceiling so high it seems to have its own weather system of steam and savory smells. Great copper pots and pans, polished to a blinding sheen by Tilly and her ilk, hang from iron hooks like a constellation of metallic stars. 4 enormous fireplaces, one for each of the founders, dominate the walls, their hearths already blazing with cheerful, crackling flames that require no wood, only the castle's will. In the center of the room stand 4 long wooden tables, identical to the house tables in the hall above. This is where the magic happens. As the elves file in, the silent procession breaks apart, each member moving with a quiet, ingrained purpose. There is no need for a foreman to shout orders or a list of duties to be posted on the wall. The work is a dance, and every elf knows their steps, the rhythm of the castle's heartbeat. Now, a lively allegro dictates the pace. A team of younger elves scurries towards the fireplaces, their small hands expertly flipping rashers of bacon and turning rows of sausages on vast, enchanted griddles that sizzle and spit with a sound like applause. Another group gathers around a colossal block of oak, where loaves of bread are being sliced by a chorus of floating knives, each one moving in perfect, swift harmony. The air begins to fill with the hearty, comforting smells of roasting meat, baking bread, and the sweet, earthy scent of mushrooms frying in butter. Nimble's station is the porridge. He approaches a cauldron of bubbling oatmeal so large he could easily bathe in it. Beside it rests a wooden paddle nearly as tall as he is. This is no ordinary paddle. It is an ancient artifact of the kitchens, enchanted centuries ago to stir porridge with perfect consistency and to never, ever let it burn or stick to the bottom. Nimble wraps his long, spindly fingers around its smooth, worn handle. As soon as he does, he feels a familiar, gentle pulse of magic travel up his arm. The paddle gives a little tug, eager to begin its work. With a soft grunt, he heaves the paddle into the thick, creamy mixture. It moves almost of its own accord, his hands merely guiding its path through the swirling mass. He closes his eyes for a moment, focusing on the texture, a little too thick. With a snap of his fingers, a pitcher of cream lifts from a nearby table, floats over to the cauldron, and tips a precise amount of its contents into the porridge. He doesn't need to measure. He can feel when it's right. The paddle swirls with renewed vigor, and Nimble hums a quiet tune, the same one his little enchanted teapot sings. While he stirs, he watches the rest of the kitchen's symphony unfold. Pip, the old elf, is supervising the pumpkin juice, his large ears twitching as he tastes the air above the vats, ensuring the spice blend is just right. A trio of elves works on the fruit, their fingers a blur as they peel and segment oranges, slice melons, and arrange berries into beautiful, colorful patterns on silver platters. They work with the focused intensity of artists composing a masterpiece. The final, most crucial stage begins. As each dish reaches perfection, it is placed upon one of the 4 long tables. A stout elf named Figgy, whose job it is to oversee the transport, stands at the head of the Slytherin table. He gives a sharp, single clap. Instantly, the endless platters of sausages, the mountains of scrambled eggs, the bowls of fruit, and the baskets of toast vanish from the table, reappearing on the Slytherin house table in the great hall above, still steaming as if they had just been cooked there. Figgy moves to the Gryffindor table, then Ravenclaw, then Hufflepuff, and with a clap for each, the feast is transported. Nimble gives his porridge one last, perfect stir. He feels a faint tingle in the air, the signal that the goblets in the great hall are now magically filling with juice, milk, and tea. The last slice of toast has vanished. The work is done. A collective, contented sigh seems to pass through the kitchen. The fires in the hearths die down to a gentle glow, and the sizzling of the griddles fades into a peaceful silence. The entire operation, from the first crackle of the fire to the final plate being served, has taken less than an hour. The elves now gather for their own breakfast, nibbling on leftover bits of toast and sharing small cups of sweet tea. The furious energy of the room has been replaced by a quiet, communal satisfaction. Nimble finds a corner, content to simply sit and feel the castle. The heartbeat has changed again. It is now filled with the tramp of hundreds of students' feet and the bright, chaotic chatter of their voices from the hall above. The great beast is fully awake. And with that thought, another urge stirs within Nimble. It is a familiar pull, a sense of an unfinished task. The castle is full of people now, which means it is also full of misplaced things. Somewhere, in a dusty corner or behind a loose tapestry, a sock is waiting. It is lost, and it is his duty to find it. The hunt is about to begin, with the great hall plates cleared by 100 silent snaps of elven fingers. A different kind of work begins, while most elves turn to scouring, tidying, and preparing for lunch. Nimble slips away. This is his special duty, a task he has claimed for himself over his many years of service. He is a finder, and his preferred quarry is the humble, yet perpetually lost sock. He slips out of the kitchens through a small, elf-sized archway hidden behind a tapestry depicting a very fat monk being tickled by a pear. A secret entrance only the elves and the ghosts know. The corridor beyond is cool and dim. Here, the castle's heartbeat is muted, overlaid with the scuffing feet of students heading to their first lessons. Nimble presses himself flat against the stone wall, his large eyes scanning the flagstones. The hunt requires a different kind of listening. It is not about the grand, foundational hums, but the tiny, forgotten whispers of the castle. He closes his eyes and focuses, his ears swiveling like tiny radar dishes. He is listening for the faint, magical signature of lost things, the quiet sigh of loneliness that a sock emits when separated from its partner for too long. To most, it is silence. To Nimble, it is a chorus of sad little notes. Aha! There, a faint, woolly lament coming from above. He opens his eyes and, with a soft pop, apparates to the second-floor landing. He finds the source behind a suit of armor that has a tendency to sing off-key when it thinks no one is listening. Tucked between its metal greave and the wall is a gray, lumpy sock, smelling faintly of a nervous second-year Ravenclaw. Nimble plucks it from its hiding place, smooths it out tenderly, and tucks it into the small satchel he carries. One rescued. He continues his journey, a silent shadow, flitting through the castle's arteries. He finds a bright green Slytherin sock coiled like a serpent under a loose floorboard near the dungeons, and a hopelessly muddy Quidditch sock abandoned near the entrance to the grounds, still radiating the faint thrill of a well-caught snitch. Each find is a small victory, a tiny piece of order restored to the grand chaos of Hogwarts. His satchel begins to fill. The real challenge, of course, is finding a match for his prized red sock. He sends out a hopeful, questioning pulse of his own magic, listening for a reply, a twin echo of brilliant cherry-red loneliness. But as always, there is only silence. By mid-morning, the students have been swallowed by the castle's classrooms, and a specific kind of quiet descends upon the common rooms. This is Nimble's window. He begins, as he often does, with Gryffindor Tower, with a soft pop that makes no more noise than a soap bubble bursting. He appears beside the grand fireplace, its embers now a cool, ashen gray. The room is a testament to comfortable chaos. Cushions bear the deep impressions of elbows and heads from late-night study sessions. A game of wizard's chess has been abandoned so hastily that the White Queen is still berating her bishop for a poor move. And several chocolate frog cards lie face down, their occupants having apparently hopped away in boredom. Nimble gets to work, his movements a blur of silent efficiency, with a series of sharp, decisive flicks of his long fingers. The pillows plump themselves up and soar back to their rightful sofas. The chess pieces grumble, but dutifully march back to their starting squares. A half-finished essay on the uses of moonstone curls itself into a neat scroll and tucks itself into a waiting book bag. As he straightens a stack of advanced potion making, he pauses. The portraits are gossiping. He tries to ignore it. It is not proper for an elf to eavesdrop. But his ears, those magnificent, sensitive instruments, betray him. Absolutely certain. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. The fat lady was insisting in a booming whisper to Sir Cadogan, who had temporarily abandoned his own frame to visit hers. Professor Flitwick was practicing his dueling stance in front of a mirror, and when he did a particularly energetic swish, his hat fell off. And I tell you, Cadogan, he has a small, bald patch shaped exactly like the Isle of Wight. "By my charger's mane!" Sir Cadogan gasped, his painted mustache quivering with excitement. A strategic vulnerability. Should he ever be challenged by a follicle-focused foe? He is doomed. Doomed, I say. Nimble's ears twitch furiously. He files the information away, not out of malice, but because all information about the castle is useful. He gives the now spotless room one last survey and disapparates. The portraits chatter, fading behind him. His next stop is the Hufflepuff common room, nestled near his own home by the kitchens. It is, as always, the coziest of the four. The air smells of damp soil, warm wool, and baking. Here the mess is less chaotic and more creative. Pots containing fledgling fanged geraniums sit on windowsills. A set of self-knitting needles has gone rogue and is attempting to knit a tea cozy out of a student's scarf, and a half-eaten plate of what appears to be rock cakes sits precariously on a stack of herbology textbooks. Nimble sighs fondly. With a gentle touch, he coaxes the knitting needles back to their senses, waters the geraniums with a flick of his wrist that summons a tiny personal rain cloud, and vanishes the crumbs from the rock cakes. He can't bring himself to vanish the cakes themselves. They were clearly a gift. Ravenclaw Tower is a different challenge. The air hums with residual magic and smells faintly of ozone and old parchment. The mess here is intellectual. Books are not so much discarded as left open to crucial pages. Complex astronomical charts are unrolled across the floor, and a set of ancient runes is scattered across a table, as if someone tried to ask a question in a hurry and didn't like the answer. Nimble moves with the precision of a librarian, carefully closing books only after bookmarking their pages with a sliver of magic, rolling the charts without smudging a single hand-drawn nebula, and arranging the runes back into their proper pouch. He is careful not to disturb a complex magical equation chalked on a portable blackboard, dusting around it with the delicacy of an archaeologist. Finally, he descends to the Slytherin dungeon. The air is cool and thin, and the only light is the eerie green glow filtering through the great windows that look out into the depths of the Black Lake. Occasionally, the shadow of the giant squid or a grindylow drifts past, casting fleeting patterns on the stone floor. The mess here is elegant, almost sinister. A single, perfect black glove lies on a green silk chaise lounge. A silver locket, left open, gleams on a mantelpiece. An overturned vial has spilled a shimmering, silvery liquid that moves like a living thing. Nimble approaches this last mess with extreme caution. He doesn't touch it. Instead, he summons a glass phial and, with a complex gesture, coaxes the mysterious liquid back into it before sealing it with a stopper. The students of this house leave secrets, not clutter, satisfied that order, of all kinds, has been restored. He takes his leave. His rounds eventually lead him to the 7th floor, a place of drafts, forgotten statues, and potent, unpredictable magic. As he dusts a large tapestry depicting Barnabas, the Barmy's disastrous attempt to teach ballet to a group of confused-looking trolls. He feels it, a familiar thrumming in the very stones beneath his bare feet, a vibration that is not part of the castle's usual steady heartbeat. It is a hum of pure potential, a magical question mark hanging in the air. He turns, his large, luminous eyes fixing on the blank stretch of wall opposite the tapestry, the room of requirement, the come-and-go room. This is not a new feeling for him. Over his long years of service, Nimble has developed a strange relationship with this particular piece of Hogwarts magic. He has felt it stir in response to the frantic, passing need of a student desperate for a lavatory. And the room had offered a door to a small, pristine washroom. He once felt it shiver and produce a broom cupboard when a professor was trying to hide from Peeves. The room is a chameleon, a creature of pure magical empathy. And while most elves, who value order and predictability, give it a wide berth, Nimble's boundless curiosity always draws him in. He stands before the blank wall, making no demands, thinking of no specific need. He is not a student in trouble or a professor in hiding. He is just Nimble. He simply opens himself up to its presence, listening to its strange, restless energy. He wonders, as he often does, what it would show him if he were to ask. Would it be the great laundry of Hogwarts, a magnificent, steam-filled chamber containing every lost sock, mitten, and scarf, all neatly paired and waiting for their owners? Or perhaps it would be the sanctuary of sentient teapots, a quiet, cozy room where his own little French humming teapot could meet others of its kind, and they could all hum their enchanted melodies together in a grand porcelain choir. As he muses, the magic in the air coalesces, the motes of dust dancing in a stray sunbeam seem to freeze, and the stone before him begins to shimmer, like air above a hot cauldron. Slowly, with no sound at all, the outline of a door bleeds into existence. It is not a grand, imposing door, but a small, simple one of dark, polished wood, with a single, unadorned brass handle. It seems to pulse with a gentle, welcoming light, a soft, inner glow that promises something quiet and tailor-made just for him. The temptation to reach out, to wrap his long fingers around that cool brass handle, is almost overwhelming. a room for Nimble. What could it possibly be? He takes a half step forward, his hand beginning to lift, but he stops. He is a house elf. His purpose is to serve the castle and its inhabitants, not to make demands of its deepest magic. His needs are met in his hammock, in the kitchens, in the quiet satisfaction of his duties. This room, this wild and wonderful magic, is for others. To use it for himself would feel like a betrayal of his purpose, a disruption of the natural order. With a small, deep sigh that is equal parts regret and resolution, he gives a respectful nod to the shimmering door. In response, the light within it seems to soften, and the door fades as silently as it appeared, leaving only the bare, indifferent stone. Some secrets, Nimble knows, are best left to the castle itself. He turns and continues his dusting. The phantom feeling of the brass handle still cool in his palm. The lunchtime rush is a tidal wave of clattering, sizzling, and shouting that will soon crash over the kitchens. Nimble, seeking a moment of calm before the storm, apparates back to his home turf. The air is already thick with the rich, savory scent of shepherd's pie baking in the giant hearths, and the sweet, tangy aroma of stewing pumpkins for the evening soup. He spots Pip, the ancient elf, sitting on a low stool by a warm fireplace, his gnarled fingers wrapped around a thimble-sized cup of steaming peppermint tea. His wrinkled face is a mask of tranquility in the midst of the burgeoning chaos. The Red One remains elusive. I take it? Pip asks without opening his eyes, his voice a dry rasp like rustling leaves. Nimble shakes his head, pulling his satchel from his shoulder and showing the day's modest haul of gray, green, and muddy socks. It is hiding well, Pip, or it is gone forever. Pip finally opens one eye, a surprisingly bright and lucid orb in his wrinkled face. He pats the stone floor beside him. Sit, Nimble. A lost thing is only lost from our perspective, from its own. It is waiting. The castle is a very large place, and it does not operate on our schedule. It will give up the sock when the story of that sock is ready to be finished, not a moment before. He takes a sip of his tea. I once spent 70 years looking for Salazar Slytherin's missing tea strainer. Found it being used as a nest by a family of pixies in the back of a filing cabinet in the History of Magic classroom. The castle decided it was time for the pixies to move. Their moment of philosophical reflection is shattered by a frantic squeaking. Tilly, the young, enthusiastic elf, rushes over, her large eyes practically vibrating with panic and indignation. She holds up a silver ladle that is dripping with a translucent, shimmering substance. Pip, Nimble, you won't believe it. It is a travesty, a desecration of the culinary arts, she wails. The fat friar. He tried to phase his entire head through the lid of the treacle-tart cauldron, claiming he wished to directly absorb its aromatic essence. He has left ectoplasm all over the fresh batch. It tastes faintly of regret and monk dust. Pip sighs, a long, drawn-out sound perfected over centuries of dealing with such celestial nuisances. Ghosts, he mutters, shaking his head. No respect for the physical realm. They are worse than Peeves. Sometimes, at least when Peeves makes a mess, you can clean it up. How does one scrub away existential sadness from a perfectly good tart? Nimble accepts a small pumpkin tart offered by another passing elf, its pastry still warm and flaky, the filling sweet and spiced. He nibbles on it, the familiar camaraderie of the kitchens settling over him like a warm blanket. This chaotic, bustling, ghost-infested cavern is the heart of his world, a place of shared purpose, absurd gossip, and endless, delicious smells. Here, he is not just a servant. He is part of a living, breathing family. Just as he is savoring the last crumb of his pumpkin tart, the air in front of his nose shimmers and splits with a soft, authoritative whoosh. A small, tightly rolled scroll of parchment appears, hovering at eye level. It doesn't drift. It waits, held in place by a magic that feels crisp, precise, and faintly smells of stern discipline and Earl Grey tea. It is sealed with a blob of wax bearing the official Hogwarts crest. Nimble's heart gives a little leap. A direct summons. This is no ordinary kitchen request. With the utmost reverence, he takes the scroll. His long, spindly fingers carefully break the seal and unroll the parchment. The handwriting is instantly recognizable. The sharp, elegant, no-nonsense cursive of Headmistress Minerva McGonagall. Nimble. A supply of my preferred lemon drops for ministry officials visiting this afternoon would be most appreciated. They are in the west pantry, third shelf, behind the crystallized ginger. Thank you. A wave of immense pride washes over Nimble, so potent it makes his ears tingle. This is not a duty. This is an honor, a task entrusted to him, and him alone, by the headmistress herself. It is a recognition of his discretion, his efficiency, his loyalty. He is not just any elf. He is nimble, purveyor of special lemon drops. His chest puffs out. He doesn't walk to the pantry. He apparates directly inside it, a privilege reserved for such important tasks. He finds the jar exactly where the headmistress said it would be. It is a simple crystal container, but the lemon drops within are anything but ordinary. They are a pale, sunny yellow and seem to hum with a gentle, latent magic. This is the special batch, enchanted with a mild, calming draft and a hint of a cheerfulness charm. They are designed to make even the most stubborn and pompous ministry official feel unusually cheerful, agreeable, and inclined to sign whatever paperwork is placed in front of them. A crucial tool of scholastic diplomacy. Clutching the jar as if it were the school's most precious treasure, he apparates again, this time to the cool, quiet corridor outside the headmistress's office. He lands as silently as a falling feather behind a large, ornate suit of armor. The stone gargoyle that guards the entrance swivels its head, its gravelly eyes fixing on him. Nimble approaches the small, designated pedestal next to the gargoyle and places the jar upon it. Stuffy lot, the ministry, the gargoyle grumbles, its voice like stones grinding together. Coming to count the quills and measure the curtains, I expect. Don't let them touch the paperwork. They turn everything gray. Nimble, feeling the gravity of his shared confidence with the ancient guardian, gives a solemn, conspiratorial nod. His mission is complete. With a final, satisfied glance at the jar of strategically important sweets, he disapparates, the gargoyle's stony wink following him into the ether. His sense of pride is short-lived. His next scheduled task is to assist Tilly with the final polishing in the trophy room. And when he apparates into the long, gleaming hall, he finds not order, but meticulously organized chaos. The air is thick with the lingering chill of poltergeist mischief and the faint, infuriating smell of chalk dust. Tilly is standing in the middle of the room, on the verge of tears, wringing her tea towel in her tiny hands. Peeves had been there, and he had been creative. It wasn't just random vandalism. The poltergeist had undertaken a complete, systematic relabeling of every single trophy, cup, and shield in the vast room. The magnificent, gleaming Quidditch cup now bore a small, elegant plaque that read, "First place, Inter-House Tiddlywinks Championship, 1973. The solid gold award for exceptional services to the school was now proudly attached to a tarnished medal for most promising student in remedial potions. The Barnabas Finkley Prize for exceptional spell casting had been swapped with the plaque from the Herbert Varney Cup for vampire wrestling, discontinued. It was a symphony of insulting absurdity. Oh, Nimble, it's a disaster. A complete and utter disaster, Tilly wailed, her voice echoing in the cavernous room. It will take weeks to sort out. The headmistress will be furious. We will be disgraced. Nimble lets out a long, weary sigh that seems to carry the weight of centuries of dealing with this particular brand of nonsense. He looks up at the high, vaulted ceiling, where he can just hear the faint, receding sound of Peeves's cackling, delighted laughter. Again? He mutters under his breath. He walks over and places a calming hand on Tilly's trembling shoulder. It is no matter, Tilly. Do not fret. It is only mischief, not true harm. We will fix it. Many hands and a good memory make light work. And so, the great reordering begins. It becomes a lesson in Hogwarts history, with Nimble as the weary professor and Tilly as his anxious student. No, Tilly, he says gently, pointing a long finger. The cup with the two ornate, dragon-shaped handles is the Dueling Championship trophy from 1743. It does not, despite what the plaque says, commemorate the tastiest sandwich in the Great Hall. That award was never official. He directs her, his encyclopedic knowledge of the castle's long, strange history coming to the fore. He knows the weight and feel of each award, the specific, magical aura of the Quidditch Cup versus the Prefect's Cup. Slowly, painstakingly, they move through the room, detaching Peeves's wicked little plaques and restoring the gleaming symbols of student achievement to their rightful places of honor. As the room gradually returns to its proper, gleaming state, Tilly's sniffles subside, replaced by a look of awe at her old friend's boundless knowledge, as he is leaving the newly ordered trophy room. A small, muffled sound from a nearby corridor catches his ear. It is not the sound of a ghost or a magical creature. It is the unmistakable sound of a child trying very hard not to cry. His curiosity piqued. Nimble follows the noise. It leads him to a large, imposing tapestry depicting a particularly gruesome troll hunt. The sniffling is coming from behind it. Gently, He pulls the heavy fabric aside. Cowering in the dusty alcove is a tiny first year, the badger of Hufflepuff embroidered on his slightly too large robes. He is clutching a large, empty biscuit tin to his chest like a shield, and his round face is streaked with tears. The boy, whose name Nimble would later learn was Finn, lets out a terrified squeak at the sudden appearance of the large-eyed, bat-eared creature. He scrambles backwards, pressing himself against the cold stone. I'm sorry, he stammers, his voice wobbling. I didn't mean to. I got lost trying to find the kitchens. Some older boys said if I could bring them a whole tin of treacle tarts, they'd be my friends. Nimble looks at the boy, so small and lost in the vast, intimidating castle. He sees the empty tin, the tear-stained cheeks, the desperate hope for friendship. And instead of the stern lecture on rules and boundaries that an elf is supposed to deliver, his heart melts. A wave of profound sympathy washes over him. He remembers what it feels like to be small and overlooked. With a soft snap of his fingers, two enormous, fluffy scones, still warm from the ovens and smelling divinely of currants and sweet cream, appear in his hand. He holds them out to the boy. Finn's eyes widen, first in fear, then in astonishment. For me? The kitchens are best found when you are not looking for them, Nimble says, his voice a soft, raspy whisper. He gestures down the corridor with a long finger. And true friends do not ask for payment. He points in the other direction. The way back to the Hufflepuff common room is just down that hall. Second turning on the left, find the stack of barrels, tickle the middle one on the second row. It will let you in. The boy's face, which had been a mask of misery, transforms. A wobbly, grateful smile appears. He carefully takes the offered scones, his small hands trembling slightly. "Thank you," he whispers, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much." Nimble simply nods. He holds the heavy tapestry open for Finn and watches until the small, black and yellow figure disappears safely around the corner. Then, with another quiet snap of his fingers, he makes the empty biscuit tin vanish. Some rules, he decides, are less important than kindness. As evening drapes the castle in long, purple shadows, Nimble makes his way to the hospital wing. This is one of his favorite duties, and one of his favorite places in Hogwarts. It is an oasis of quiet, order, and calm. smelling perpetually of clean linen and the sharp, medicinal scent of skele grow. The moonlight streams in through the high, arched windows, painting silver rectangles on the polished floor. Madame Pumphrey, the formidable matron of this domain, is bustling about, her face a mask of stern concentration as she measures out a dose of a dreamless sleep potion. She doesn't turn as Nimble apparates silently by the door. Theirs is a relationship that transcends words, built on years of shared purpose and mutual, unspoken respect. "Ah, Nimble," she says, her voice crisp but not unkind. "A great help, as always. We had a bit of a disaster in herbology today. A bouncing bulb got loose. Nimble needs no further instruction. He gets to work, a silent, efficient partner in her nightly routine. He collects empty potion bottles from bedside tables, which he vanishes with a series of sharp, satisfying pops. He moves to the beds where students are sleeping. With a gentle, sweeping wave of his hand, the bed linens and blankets lift into the air, smoothing out their wrinkles and folding themselves into perfect, crisp squares at the foot of each mattress. Then he begins to hum. It is the same quiet, gentle tune his little enchanted teapot sings back in his nook. A simple French waltz. But here, in the quiet of the hospital wing, he weaves a thread of house elf magic into the melody. It is a soft, soothing magic designed to calm and heal. The tune seems to take on a physical form, a gentle, shimmering wave that washes through the long room. A student in a nearby bed who had been groaning and twitching from the after effects of a misfired cheering charm visibly relaxes, his grumpy, rigid expression softening into a peaceful, deep sleep. The potions on the bedside tables seem to glow with a calmer, more stable light. Even the moonlight on the floor seems to lose its hard edges. Madame Pumphrey, finishing her rounds, pauses by the door and gives Nimble a rare, small, but genuine smile. It is all the thanks he needs. The castle is deep in its slumber. The great beast's heartbeat has slowed to a deep, peaceful, sonorous murmur. The thump-thump of ancient magic at rest. The students are lost in their dreams. The professors are in their chambers, and the ghosts are enjoying a rare moment of quiet reflection. But Nimble's long day is not quite over. This is his favorite time, the secret time. He roams the darkened corridors one last time, a silent, wraith-like figure. his bare feet making no sound on the cold, moon-drenched flagstones. His senses are on high alert, tasting the lingering magic of the day. He feels the faint, fizzy residue of a late-night sneak to the kitchens for contraband, fanged fizzing, whiz-bees near the third-floor corridor. He smells the lingering ozone of a poorly cast locking charm on a classroom door, and then he feels it, a faint, lonely, woolly pulse, the sad sigh of a sock, forgotten and abandoned. He follows the feeling, his ears twitching, until he finds it. Dangling forlornly from an iron torch sconce outside the charm's classroom is a single, plain, black sock. It had clearly been snagged off a student's ankle as they ran past. It is nothing special, but as Nimble gently frees it and tucks it into his satchel, he feels its faint, magical signature change from loneliness to a quiet sense of relief. As he turns to leave, he freezes. He hears voices, not the booming voices of living people or the moaning of ghosts, but the dry, papery, ancient whisper of painted figures in their frames. He melts back into the deepest shadows, his small form nearly invisible against the dark stone. 2 portraits down the hall, a stern-looking medieval witch with a pointed hat and a portly wizard with a ridiculously long white beard, are having an urgent, hushed conversation. "The passage is open again, I tell you, Phineas," the witch hissed, her painted eyes darting nervously around the empty corridor. "The one behind the statue of the one-eyed witch in the third-floor corridor. I saw it myself." The wizard, Phineas, stroked his painted beard. "Are you quite certain, Elspeth? That passage hasn't been used in years, not since the Potter boy and his friends were always scurrying about. I thought the headmistress had it sealed." "Sealed is not the same as immune to a well-aimed Alohomora," Elspeth sniffed. "I saw a flicker of candlelight, I tell you, and I smelled trouble, and possibly toasted cheese. Something is afoot, something clandestine." Nimble's large ears twitch violently. A secret passage, a new secret, a dangerous secret. Perhaps. His mind carefully catalogues the information. 3rd floor, one-eyed witch statue, toasted cheese. This is the true currency of the castle, the knowledge that keeps him, and by extension, everyone else, safe. He feels the weight of the new secret settle upon him. He is a guardian, a silent witness, backing away as quietly as a shadow. He leaves the portraits to their anxious gossip, and disappears down the corridor. His work, at last, is truly done, with a final, soft pop that stirs the air less than a moth's wing. Nimble apparates back to the elves' quarters. The change in atmosphere is instantaneous and total. He leaves the cold, moonlit, secret-filled corridors of the upper castle for the deep, earthy warmth of his home. The ever-glowing moss casts its gentle, greenish gold light over the dozens of hammocks, where his friends and family are lost in slumber. The air is still and safe, filled with the soft, wheezing snores of Pip and the quiet muttering of Tilly, who is likely dreaming of a particularly stubborn spot of tarnish. He walks to his personal nook, the cool, smooth granite of the floor, a familiar comfort to his tired feet. He hangs his satchel on its peg. He reaches inside and pulls out his most prized possession, the single, brilliant, cherry red sock. He holds it for a moment, the thick wool soft against his fingers. He had listened for its twin all day, sent out his hopeful, magical pulses into every dusty corner and forgotten corridor, but had heard no reply. No luck today. But as he hangs it carefully on its own special peg, he feels not disappointment, but a quiet sense of purpose. There is always tomorrow. The castle always holds another secret, another puzzle, another lost sock waiting to be found. Its story wasn't over yet. He climbs into his hammock. The soft, worn fabric of the old Hufflepuff scarf cocooning him in its gentle embrace. The great, slow, powerful heartbeat of Hogwarts fills the chamber, a deep and steady lullaby that has soothed elves to sleep for 1,000 years. Thump, 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 thump. It is the sound of home. It is the sound of safety. It is the sound of peace. Nimble closes his large, luminous eyes, and as the ancient, magical beast that is his entire world breathes its slow, deep, contented breath around him, he, in his own quiet, humble way, breathes back